Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing. Excellent.
So, whenever you are ready.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our little live stream here of code questions. Been asked in the past to come up with a check sheet because I'd noticed we also have been missing some stuff out in the field doing inspections. So I've kind of created a basic checklist for people who have questions about the systems when they're due. What's on this list represents about 90% of what's out there that we need to inspect. Going to the top of the list, Knox keys. So anytime you go to a business, and you can recognize that a business has a Knox box because there is a red sticker on all the man doors around the perimeter of that building. The Knox stickers are usually placed in the upper right-hand quarter of the door. So basically look up and right before you strike to make sure there's not a Knox key symbol there representing that they have a Knox box on property. So we want to check the Knox keys, and basically that's as simple as asking them if they've changed the locks on the building. If they have not changed the locks, then you may or may not have to get the keys out. But if they're not sure, get the keys out and try them. Fire alarms. They're required to have fire alarms tested yearly. Now there are other tests that they do with the systems that their service company is supposed to be providing to them. If they're not doing those tests, they send us notifications forms to the inspection office, and we go out and enforce that. But when you're out on an inspection, your job is basically to make sure that they've got the recent test paperwork for the fire alarm test, and that's yearly paperwork. By code, they're supposed to keep 3 years of the last test, and that's on all safety systems. Sprinkler test, again, that's another test that's done yearly, and that's what you're looking for is test papers for the sprinkler systems. Fire hydrants as well. This is also a yearly test. They got to flush them, pump them out, lubricate them, and that's for private hydrants. Now we do have some contracts with some of the larger complexes, like the apartment complex off of 42, and I believe we're also doing Mallard Cove, and we're doing the convention center as well, because that's a city property. But other than that, almost all other properties where they have private hydrants, and that's basically ones that are past the meter pit, are the private hydrants that they should be having serviced and checked. And again, there should be paperwork generated for that, and that's what you're looking for. Suppression system. These are your dry chemical systems on paint booths, wet chemical systems on hood systems, and cooking operations. Computer room suppression systems, they use the tank of clean gas to extinguish fires and stuff. Those are done every 6 months, and there should be an updated tag for that every 6 months. Fire pump test yearly. Hello. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Where was I? Fire pump. Done yearly. They're supposed to run through a complete flow of that, basically just like we do on our pumpers. It's the same kind of test. And they're supposed to have paperwork for that as well. Emergency lights and exit sign function test and 90-minute test. This is something that's fairly new in the fire code. It's been out the last couple of years. The last code change cycle is what brought that on. They're supposed to do a monthly test of the emergency lights and exit signs. That's basically just hitting the button on the sign or finding the breaker that controls them, turning it off, walking around, make sure they're lit, and then turning it back on. That's a monthly test. The 90-minute test is you find the breaker, you turn it off for 90 minutes, you time it. At the end of that 90-minute cycle, they walk around the building and make sure all the signs are still lit. That's to prove that the batteries have enough power to sustain the sign for 90 minutes. And that's what you're looking for. If they have signs that fail that test, they either need new batteries or they need a new sign because the charging circuit is not working properly. Now, they do make self-testing emergency lights and exit signs. And you can recognize those. They'll have a little legend or a sticker on it showing you the indications on how many flashes to tell you what's wrong with the signs. So basically what these signs do is they automatically come on 5 minutes every month to test for the monthly test. They come on twice a year and do the 90-minute test twice a year. If they fail any of those tests, if there's a light burnout, the battery's bad, or the charging circuit fails, it will flash out in code, like 3 taps might be a bad battery, 2 taps might be a bad charging circuit or a burnout bulb, and if it's flashing constantly, that usually means it's bad charging circuit. But again, you're going to have to check the little label on the sign. That's the only distinguishing mark on a lot of these self-testing emergency lights and exit signs. If you ask the maintenance guy, they should know. If you're not sure, just look at the sign. But if you walk into a building and you see an exit sign with a red flashing LED or tapping, every 2 seconds it's tapping out a code, that's probably a self-testing exit sign or emergency light. They still are required to check those monthly, but that's basically just walking around looking for the flashing red lights. And they are supposed to log that on a log sheet. We have developed a log sheet here that I've passed out several times. And but if you need a new copy of that, let me know, send me an email. Oh, it's in emergency reporting as well? Okay, it's in the library section of emergency reporting as well. And emergency generator, those are your backup generators that power your emergency lighting in the building, similar to what we have here at the stations. We have to see the yearly maintenance test done on that, and that's done by the service company. They should have paperwork for that as well. Most generators are set up to do automatic testing, and if they fail or something, they alert the owners or the company that's doing the maintenance on them. But we need to see the one where they come out and do the full-blown once-a-year service. So we need to see the test papers on that as well. Another thing to look for, and we got a lot of this in town, and I'm guilty of this myself, not enforcing as much, building addresses. In the code, there's a requirement to have your building address displayed on the building, facing the street so that it's visible from the street side. And a lot of us, including myself, overlook that a lot of times. FDC signs. We've got a lot of older fire department connection signs out at the pits. Some are also on the buildings that have faded over the years. So we need to start looking at that. So when you're pulling up on a business, that should be the first thing you check as you're pulling in to see if that sign's legible. If it's not, write it up and have them get a new sign. Fire extinguishers, that's a once-a-year test that we need to see. Normally we can see that on the tag, just like on any extinguisher. Like I said, there are other service tests that's supposed to be provided after, at 6-year intervals and stuff, but that's their service company to provide that. If it's not getting done, they will notice, somebody will notify us, and then, then we'll take action in the inspection division. You notice I've also included the code numbers, so if you need to look it up and specifically do the wording of the code. It should also be in the emergency reporting form that you're using. The verbiage should be in there as well. Other than that, if you have any questions or you see stuff that it's not on this list that you would like to see on this list, again, drop me an email. We'll work with you to get this something to make so that everybody's on the same page and we get compliance that's evenly provided throughout the city. That's all I have today. Thank you.